He's the first African American.
He didn't have to face it till it came out of your mouth. I mean, I just wonder if you don't realize that you had a number of supporters out there. You were running a percentage. This year you were reduced to irrelevant, and I just wonder now if that's what you want your legacy to be. The man who on the night that the first African American president in the history of this nation was elected, you ask if he's going to be Uncle Sam or Uncle Tom.
Yeah, of course, because he's turned his back on 100 million poor people in this country, African Americans and Latinos and poor whites, and we're going to hold them to a higher standard. It's just not an unprecedented career move, in the White House. We expect more of Barack Obama.
You were reduced to complete irrelevance here. You weren't able to play spoiler. Will you run again?
Look, I don't like bullies like you. I can't see you. You can pull the plug on me. I'm looking in a dark camera.
You said Uncle Tom. I didn't say it, sir, with respect. I did not say it.
I said that's the question he has to answer. He can become a great president, or he can become a toady for the corporate powers that have brought both parties to their knees against working people in this country and have allowed our country to be hijacked by global corporations who have no allegiance to this country other than to ship its jobs and industries to fascist and communist dictators abroad who know how to keep their workers in their place. This is reality here. This is not show business. It's not celebrity politics. There are people suffering in this country, and we expect a great presidency from Barack Obama, and we're going to try to hold his feet to the fire.
I just wonder if, in hindsight, you wish you'd used a phrase other than Uncle Tom.
Not at all.
Fair enough.
You know
Ralph
what
Nader,
the historic...
Thanks very much.
Yes.
We'll have a response from our panel in just a moment.
Thank you.
All right, so we're here at the Ralph Nader after party with presidential candidate Ralph Nader. Ralph, you didn't win, but you didn't set out to win. By your own metrics, was the campaign a success?
Yeah, we challenged in 50 states the two-party dictatorship and their corporate supremacists. We documented it. We reached millions of people. We brought a lot of young people into clean politics and organizational skills who are going to be the leaders of the future.
And talk about the leaders of the future, November5th.org.
We're inviting people who want to join in a preliminary way a plan to form Congress action groups in every congressional district.
And how can these congressional action groups get the leverage right now that the candidates owe a lot of reciprocity to Wall Street? How can they get to owe that same reciprocity to these congressional watchdog districts?
Give dynamic, laser-like power to votes, and the corporations don't have any votes. They got money and power, but the members of Congress, they're there or they're not there based on votes. The votes are not organized back home. They're very diffuse. They're least worst votes. We want to attach them to about a dozen redirections: full Medicare, living wage, cracking down on corporate crime, solar energy, all these things. And we want to basically develop a core of 2,000 people. It's going to be their work. I mean, we can just, facilitate it in every district. And with 3 full-time people, you cannot believe the escalation of power from back home on each senator and representative.
You've often framed an answer to the following question, why run if you can't win, by saying, well, aren't we glad that the abolitionists had a party, or aren't we glad that the women's suffrage movement had a party?
They didn't waste their vote.
If history could remember your campaigns for one single issue, what issue would it be?
To bring down the corporate supremacists who control our country, our government, our elections, our media.
That's connected to everything. Is it health care? Is it foreign policy? Is it energy?
Yeah, living wage.
Is there if you can write history and pick one of those issues, could you pick one?
That's the one. That's the fundamental one that radiates tyranny and corporate power. That's what Franklin Delano Roosevelt called fascism, the control of government by private corporate power.
There are hypothetically, some people out there who don't see themselves as Democrats or Republicans who want to affect change from within the electoral process, as you have advocated. Any advice to someone running a local election as an independent? Is there any hope?
Well, there's more at the local level. You can knock on every door, and you don't have to have all that money. So, and often there's no challenger to the incumbent in 2.5 million elective offices. Sometimes the other major party doesn't even field the candidate. It's one-party districts, right? The key is that the voters in this country are in a prison. It's a two-party prison. It has huge barriers, and it basically says to them, be realistic. You're not going to be able to elect anyone else. We've made sure of that, so it's either Republican or Democrat. We have to break out of prison. The real problem is in the voters' mind. They've got to stop voting for people who they elect and then shaft them and do what the corporations want done. And they've got to start supporting people like Nader Gonzalez, who, when they give them the vote, they know what they vote for.
When you said earlier that Obama's victory tonight was a landslide without a mandate, when the Democrats wake up from their hangover and their party celebrations, what's the future? What's the next 2-4 years under an Obama administration look like?
Well, he's going to have to deal with Wall Street-created economic crisis, military-industrial complex-created deficits, wars abroad that he seems to want to expand in Afghanistan, and a deep recession. So he's going to have a straitjacket, and he doesn't have the political fortitude, the challenging personality that's required to shift power to the people and mobilize the people and put their priorities first. That's the key. The question that the first African-American president is going to have to ask himself in the coming weeks and months is he going to be an Uncle Sam standing up for the American people, or is he going to be an Uncle Tom standing up for giant corporations who have dragged America into the ditch?
How long does Obama's free pass last? Do we give him a free pass? The media, the people?
You can't, because if he's going to get anything done, it's got to be in the first couple hundred days.
I'm not advocating, and I'm suggesting, will America's people give him a free pass because he's African-American, the first African-American president?
Why, sure, he'll appeal. He'll say, give me some time, give me some time. But the thrust of change in a new administration, if you don't get something very significant done in the first 6 months, it's all downhill.
So your campaign's a success because you're building momentum for these congressional watchdog districts.
Well, not only that, but it's very important to document the tyranny. I mean, the one thing we have now convinced ourselves of is the American people have a much deeper understanding of who rules them. It isn't just politicians, it isn't just corrupt parties, it's corporations. 61% in a Gallup poll say both parties are failing. But watch, 3 out of 4 say corporations have too much control over their lives. And watch, 9 out of 10 Americans believe America is in decline. See, that is the ferment for a third political force. But it's got to start with people saying, we will never vote for politicians who vote against our interests anymore. No more least worse. Least worse was never good enough for the American people. It certainly is never good enough now.
One last question. Democratic voters unfairly have criticized you for George Bush becoming president, the Florida fiasco. You earned your votes in 2000. What weight has that carried? Was that difficult for you? Is that something that weighed you down? You never quite reached the momentum that you reached in 2000.
Well, that is interesting. I don't know what's going on with the American voter, except that they are so turned off Bush that the Democrats look better. And Obama looks like he has an easy act to follow. So I think the 26% approval rating of Bush and the 16% of Cheney has opened a window for the Democrats. Now they control Congress big time and the White House. No more excuses for the Democrats anymore. So maybe the American people are thinking that way. Okay, we've now given them control of the federal government. Let's see what they can do.
Well, we gave him a free pass in 2006 and now 2008 again, and we'll see where we go from here. Ralph Nader, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you.
Enjoy your party.
Just look at our website to see how we stand for majoritarian issues in a political system that induces voter masochism to vote for these crummy two parties. VoteNader.org.
And the new website is November5.org?
Yes, November5.org.
Great. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.